They've never lost at Audi.
10-0.
So
Through
funny.
all the leagues,
That's so
through all
funny.
everything.
It is electric. We'll say. Oh, you have a rematch with the Brahmas at home. Michigan Panthers. Even though that was a team.
That's a UFL team, I believe. All right, once
Michigan
it shows up on
Panthers.
YouTube that we're actually streaming. I don't see ourselves.
Arlington Renegades.
All right.
Ooh. Excuse me.
All right. Ready? All right, let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Wise Guys podcast. I am your host, Brady Fitzgerald, joined as always by my co-host, Chris Hagan.
How you guys doing?
Doing well, Chris. The fans are going to have to stick with me. I told you already, a little groggy. It's all right. We'll make it through. We're going to push past. We have 2 great national championship games to talk about today. 2 oddly, now that I was thinking about it, I kind of was thinking about it all day, oddly similar national championships
Definitely
going on. With the storylines, with the way that the teams won the games, and who won the games. We're going to start on the men's side. Happened last night, a little fresher in our minds. UConn, congrats to UConn, back-to-back champions for the first time since 2010, 2011, Florida. And the craziest part is that they lost 60% of their starters last year. Completely different team, played a completely different way, and utterly dominated the whole tournament long.
they were better this year.
They were somehow better this year. Before we get into the game breakdown, congrats to my dad. Winning's in the family. He won the Wise Guys t-shirt. It has been sent to him. We'll have a nice picture with him in the t-shirt once he's received it. The Jimmies was number 2, and since it was my dad who won, in the family, we might give a little share to the Jimmies. I think the Jimmies is his friend from college. So I'm gonna let him.
Another
decide.
UConn guy.
Yeah, another UConn guy.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let him decide.
Well, let's get it out there. If he wants a shirt.
We'll extend the offer to Jimmy's and see if Jimmy's wants to win the t-shirt. I was talking about it with my dad last night. He's now seen the 80s Celtics, 2000s Patriots, Red Sox, and now his school has won his 6th national title in 20 years. He's a pretty happy man, pretty lucky sports fan. Excited for him. But let's get right into the game. The start of the game was going exactly how Purdue wanted it. UConn couldn't get a shot off. They kept trying to attack the middle. Zach Edey, I think, had 3 blocks within the first 7 minutes. He had 20 points within the first, I think, 9 minutes of the game. And they really couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like Edey wasn't going to miss a shot all night, and he would get it in the the first possession. I think Klingon stopped him, and I was like, "Oh no, here we go!" Like, we finally have somebody who can guard Edey. And then for 10 minutes, it didn't matter because his move is that turnaround, one-handed shot. And it felt like the drop step was open for him, and he just wasn't taking it, and he was just sticking to that shot, and he couldn't back Klingon down to the point where he was close enough to the rim where it made sense. So he was just taking it from like the free throw line, and it was still going in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh yeah, he's locked in on defense. He just kept getting blocks. Like they weren't able to draw him out. He wasn't leaving his feet. Like he was literally perfect for 10, close to 15 minutes. And then it all fell apart.
Yeah, he got tired. They subbed him out. They got a couple quick points.
And Hurley yelled at him.
Hurley did yell at him.
He was walking back to the bench.
That was Hurley was on one today, as he always is.
Yeah,
he was definitely on one today.
He's nuts.
He gets tired. They're still in UConn's still in the game, which was the good thing if you were rooting for UConn.
Like, Purdue didn't hit any threes.
No, they didn't hit anything.
For a team that like they surround Edey with guys who knock down jump shots. I think they took like 1-3 in the first 15 minutes. It was insane.
Yeah, they weren't taking threes. They were running everything through Edey, and UConn was letting them do that. That was kind of.
There's really no way to stop them from doing that.
No,
unless you double him, which I guess their thinking was we have Klingon, we can go one-on-one with him, and then it was funny like when Klingon came out, Edey looked worse.
Yeah,
it seemed like he was confident going up against Klingon, even though he's easily the best defensive center he's faced all year, probably in his career.
Yeah, and they matched him up with Alex Caraba a couple times, with Samson Johnson a couple times, and it actually worked. It was surprising that it was working. Zach Edey at some point through the halfway mark of the first half just couldn't hit the jump shot anymore, not the hook shot anymore. Yeah. The turnaround one hand floater that we're talking about, and that once that sign was up that he couldn't hit that, I was like, uh-oh, like they're going to be some trouble in the
as soon as they started missing.
Yeah, and
big trouble.
He gets out of rhythm
because you can't give UConn like even when they were down 6 at halftime. I was like,
it's too many
this
points.
Is not good. It's already too many points.
And you felt like I think Edey had 20 or 18, 19 in the first half. You felt like they were playing as hard as they possibly could, and UConn wasn't playing their best ball. And
no, they missed a lot of open shots too.
They missed a lot of open shots. They got blocked a lot of times. It was funny. Like their first couple possessions, they didn't. I don't know if they realized how big Edey is, and like because they were just driving right at him. Castle and Newton, Cam, all of them, all just driving right at him, and they got blocks like 4 in a row.
Well, I will say I've never seen a guard play Edey as well as Cam Spencer did on both ends of the floor. Because when he would drive in, he's so good with like that little pump fake or the little hesitation that I don't think Edey blocked one of his shots, but he was the only one for a while that was able to score inside. And then on defense, they were using him as the guy who would run in from behind and double team him, and like that was the difference maker, honestly.
Yeah, and
one of them. It wasn't the sole difference maker.
He was, all season he was like a mini Dan Hurley on the court, just as psycho as him. You could see it in the celebration and the way they interacted on the court. Later in the game, Dan Hurley pushes him, like literally pushes him in the game. Gets a technical foul for pushing him. So they were feeding off each other's energy. They were hitting threes, much needed threes. And then they figured out a way to get their guys into space, get Edey out of their way.
Yep.
And then come the second half.
As soon as they started pulling him out and they were getting those lobs.
Oh yeah.
That was the beginning of the end.
Yeah, it was literally Tristan Newton and Samson Johnson. Samson's 4 points were off 2 lobs right behind Edey. Edey's all the focus on the middle. They're bringing up the ball up, and he just runs right behind him and gets 2 layups or 2 dunks in a row.
Way too easy.
Once that happened, that was the, as you said, the telling sign that it was UConn's run. Yeah. Edey had a moment between the first and second half where it was 11 minutes where he went scoreless and still led the team.
Right after Hurley yelled at him.
What do you think he said to him?
I don't know, like, I'm going to kill your family if you do that again.
He's probably
crazy.
He probably looked at him and he was like, Yeah, doing all this for no money. All my guys have more NIL deals than you. 3-time player of the year for what? Not a penny? Got his head.
We were joking that, like, I honestly, if confronted by the two of those people, I would be more scared of Danny Hurley than I would be of Zach Edey.
Good take right there. Yeah, no, because Zach Edey's big and massive, and he would freak you out, but he looks like a softie.
I don't even know if he's a softie, but Danny Hurley is just such a wild card.
Oh, and he's whatever the opposite of it. Like, there's no one calls it a hardy. Whoever's the opposite of a softie, just a freaking psychopath is what Dan Hardy is.
He's a psychopath.
It
was a shame because he was so locked in.
Yeah, I mean, he had 37 points.
15 minutes.
And
did he actually finish with 37? I shut the game off with like 8 minutes left. I couldn't watch.
Yeah, it was to that point.
Too painful.
The only thing that was worrisome within the last 12 to 8 minutes, maybe 7, that UConn had a lot of fouls. Edey was still getting whatever he wanted. The thing, it's funny, no matter what, Edey, like, he pushed off the UConn players so many times, and not
the first half they were letting him play. Which does go against him though, because he does get fouled on every play.
Yeah, that's true. They were lenient on both ways, but offensively, Edey was able to shove these guys off of him pretty easily.
Yeah, I had no real gripe with the officials.
I thought the officials did
like they were on both sides.
Yeah, I thought there was.
You always worry about that with Purdue, that you're gonna get a ref show like against Tennessee.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a complete ref show. It was pretty even on the free throws. They only had 4 more than UConn did, but the key was that there was no shooters on Purdue that woke up. There was 1 3-pointer made by Lance Jones, and everyone else on Purdue stunk up the joint. 37.
They weren't even trying for a while.
37 for Edey. Brandon Smith had 12. Lance Jones had 5. Trey Kaufman-Renn. Yeah, had 4, and then Cameron Heddy off the bench had that. Was that dunk?
Oh, that was the craziest play I've seen all tournament.
That was the best play of the tournament, and it was from some guy who never made another play in the rest of the day.
I think that was the guy that they checked in to pick up the fouls at the end of the half. I forget which game it was. I think it was Gonzaga, and they had like 4 fouls. They had 2 to give, and they sub him in with like 30 seconds left, and after a couple seconds go off, he fouls the guy, and then he does the same thing again, and then he sits back on the bench. I think it was that guy.
I'd never seen this guy in my life. I don't think any of the UConn players ever seen this guy in their life. And it was off a
for one play, it was shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, it was honestly one of the most impressive dunks I think I've ever seen in game.
The fact that he was able to catch it where he did,
and then still be able to
control it to the rim, and his hand got hit, it could have been an and one.
Yeah, and over 2 UConn players, like directly, over 2 UConn players.
One of them was clinging.
It was absolutely insane. It is. That was the best play of the game, and it was from some nobody when they were down by a ton.
Yes.
But
I was like, I remember feeling like, okay, maybe we're back now, because I think that cut it from 9 to 7.
It was still. It was still.
It wasn't completely over, but it was like, if they don't get a couple points, a couple stops, and a couple buckets, then it's over.
Yeah, and that's how kind of
it did not after that.
It felt like that. It almost felt like the whole second half. It was like they needed.
It was a slow and painful death.
It was definitely for sure. And it was funny. It was a slow first half, and Dan Hurley. I remember it was. I don't know if it was the 11-minute mark or 12-minute mark. They're like, how do you like the pace and what you're doing? And he's like, oh, I love the pace of this game. I think we're gonna be able to just fine and stuff like that. And it worked out for them. They were able to play their pace, and they picked it up right at the end. With 10 minutes left, they were dribbling out the shot clock.
Yes.
They were taking some dumb threes in the middle of the second half. I think that's why Dan shoved Pat Spencer. And that was a little worrisome. I was like, they should just take these easy 2s that they've been finding, and not worry about the 3-pointers, because Purdue is not they're not hitting any 3-pointers. So they figured it out. They dominated as they did all tournament. They've won every game by 13 plus in this tournament.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
They covered every game.
Yep, they covered every game. So just to run through, 91-52 in the first round, 75-58 in the second round, 82-52 in the third round. Then Elite Eight, 77-52. That was the 30. Oh, no.
These are good teams that they're beating.
Yeah,
by
that
the
was
way.
a 32 run. Alabama didn't
get to play Stetson every game.
14-point win, and then this game 15.
That was the only one that was actually like maybe they had a shot. Like with
Alabama
10 minutes
game?
left in the game, Alabama was still in it.
Yes. Yeah. Every other team was out within 12 minutes left in the second half.
Yeah. Illinois was in it for a half, and then obviously we know what happened. I think San Diego State was in it for like 15 minutes. I don't think Northwestern was ever in it. No. And obviously the 16 seed you knew. So, yeah, that's the craziest part about this whole thing is in every game, as soon as there were under 10 minutes left, you knew that they had already won.
And I'm looking at last tournament's scores, and they're all the same. They're all the same.
Hey, this has to be the best 2-year run by a program since like the John Wooden UCLA teams, right?
I honestly,
not that many teams have gone back to back.
No,
and they've done it so dominantly.
And with the era of transfers and none of these guys staying, the fact that they're able to do it back to back with completely different teams is very impressive. I was just about to mention, everyone talks about the blue blood conversation after the NCAA tournament is over, and they compare historic programs against each other. And UConn now surpassing Duke in titles, tying with Kentucky, I believe.
That's pretty wild, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was like that was a sneaky thing. Like I was after the game, I was talking to my dad and brother, and my dad was like, we beat Duke here in our titles. And I was like, damn. Then Kentucky has 6, right?
I'm not positive on that.
I'm pretty sure they have 6, and then people talk about Kansas, UCLA.
Kentucky has 8, and UCLA has 11. So they tied Carolina past Duke, or 2 away from Kentucky, past Indiana as well.
Yeah. And I remember there was a bunch of they've missed 9 tournaments since 2000. It's not as dominant, so it's not as blue blood. But they had a coach transition that, Danny Hurley just completely changed his program around after Calhoun retired, and they had a couple down years, but he figured it out.
Well, they won a championship in one of those down years with Kevin Ollie when they were a 7 seed.
Oh yeah,
they stumbled into it.
Yeah, so I mean, they're definitely blue blood. They're definitely up there with the rest of the programs. It's not even an argument if they're blue blood anymore. I think they're the premier program of the 21st century. They have 6 titles since 1999. Yeah,
I don't know how you could argue, who would you even put ahead of them? I guess, maybe Duke, but they have more titles.
Yeah, you would put Duke just because of the stigma and the aura of Duke.
You can argue brand wise, and you could argue Carolina too that way. But Carolina only has. Let's see, I have the list pulled up right now. They have 1, 2, 3 since 2000, and they have 1 in the 90s. So, I mean, the championships speak for themselves.
Yeah, the 21st century is now been owned by UConn.
Yeah.
And they're poised to. I mean, as with this utter dominance, with the transfer guys coming in, there's a very good chance they could win another one. Going back to back will be very challenging. I don't know which guys will go to the league. It looks like Klingon can go to the league, but
I think he will.
Yeah, I know. I think he will too. But there's an argument for why he should stay. He's Kid Connecticut right now. He's won back-to-back titles. and can very easily be a great part of this team yet again to raise his draft stock if he wanted to. I don't know where like he's projected, but it seems like he could go either way. But I would like to see him stay. Try to win another one.
Yeah. Why not? And you hear something crazy?
What's that?
For 2025, UConn is plus 1,200 to win the title. I feel like
Duke's favored, right? At plus 1,000.
Duke's favored. Kansas, Houston.
Kansas? Why Kansas favored that much?
I don't know. We don't even know what the rosters are going to look like yet.
No, we know Duke has a great, absolutely fantastic recruiting class with Cooper Flagg, and they have another guy from the NBA Africa, I think, coming in. Klingon, by the way, projected number 5 right now in the latest mock draft.
He needs a jump shot.
Yeah, he definitely needs a jump shot. But I mean, if he's projected 5, then he's probably going to go. Castle in this mock draft that I'm looking at, Stifford Castle projected 8. He's a freshman. I didn't even realize that. Let's see. Any other UConn guys in the first round over here? It's got to be projected pick 22.
22.
Yeah.
I saw one mock draft of him going to the Wizards.
Oh, Tristan Newton projected pick 30 of the Celtics. I would love Tristan Newton. That'd be kind of
there you go.
He's a senior. He'll definitely go to the draft. He got most outstanding player in the tournament. Sadly to Wyatt. Wyatt was so close with Cam Spencer.
Oh, Cam Spencer.
He was dominant for a lot of games, but not this one.
Newton's numbers were that good?
Yeah, he ended the season with 15 points a game. He ended the championship game with 27 and 5. So he was all over the board. He was all over the place. I think UConn made a post. They were like, Mr. Do-It-All.
You don't even notice because everyone on the floor is so good.
No, that's the thing.
I wouldn't even know who I would tell you their best player is.
Yeah, that was the beauty of this team, that they really worked as a team. And it's very similar to the South Carolina women's team that we're going to be talking about here soon. Mm-hmm. That anyone could pop off at any of these games, and they played great defense. They played team ball, and something that Purdue and Iowa in the championship games couldn't accomplish just because their roster wasn't as deep. Yeah, like even the two guys off the bench outscored almost their starters. Like besides Zach Edey.
Yeah.
So where else do you want to go with this before we move on to limits? Anything else?
I know it's another year of the Big Ten not getting one. This was the best chance in a while, I think. I honestly thought that if anyone could beat them, it was Purdue. But team with better players usually wins, and this is a team that we haven't seen in a long time, considering they've now done it in back-to-back years with this level of dominance. So that'll obviously be the top storyline going into next year, is the chance of a three-peat, depending on how many of these guys do end up coming back. But yeah, congrats to them, I guess.
It was
I also hate Purdue even more than I used to now. I was all in for 3 weeks.
They're such frauds.
I despise them.
Classic. And it's funny because you could joke and say they're such frauds, but they dominated almost everyone they played, and they just went up against the most dominant team. So. Yep.
Just ran into a buzzsaw.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just how sports works. You finally get the run that you've been looking for. You finally get out of the first round. You beat your demons by beating all the double-digit seeds that beat you. And then you run up against a team that's almost flawless. So it was a good tournament. I'm so excited to not have to see the the commercials of like the Virginia girl on the bench yelling at the guy. The Shea Gilgeous-Alexander commercial.
I almost just fell on my chair.
Yeah, I saw that. What just happened?
There's like a little lever that pops out sometimes that holds the chair upright. So like
the back
pull
support?
it out. Yeah. So sometimes I'd say like one every 3 podcasts that happens, and I think I'm gonna die for a second. What were we talking about? Threw me for a loop. Oh, the commercials.
Yeah, the commercials.
I do like the I'll take the charge one.
I'll take the charge one.
They're in the dealership and like.
Oh.
He's like, I'll take the charge, and the Carolina mascot just comes in.
Like, with the I like the beat up one. I'm
the beat ups one is good. I'm sick of the Gatorade water.
Yeah, that was dumb. The Tool Shack. The Tool Shack's good.
Yeah, that one's funny.
I'm trying to think. The Capital One.
It was like the same 6 commercials every single break. When you're watching that much basketball, it was like my eyes are happy the tournament's over. But I had a good tournament. I did well gambling. I would have done really well if Purdue won. But my bracket I was in position to win like 3 different bracket pools. Obviously, I didn't win any of them because my champion was Purdue. But if they won, I would have won the Wise Guys one.
Brutal.
But ifs and buts for candy and nuts.
Yeah, it's a bad beat. All right, let's move on to the women's side of the bracket. The South Carolina Gamecocks completed their undefeated season, going 39-0. Thank you. Clap it up for here in Columbia. It was a great atmosphere. I was in Charlotte. I went to go see OKC play the Hornets that night. I was lucky enough that the game ended up being at 3:00, so I was able to watch in its fullest before I walk over to the Hornets Stadium. So it worked out for me that it was that early. It was kind of weird, it being that early and being the national championship. But
yeah, that's definitely a weird feeling. You don't have to think about it all day.
Yeah,
it's probably kind of nice.
It was kind of nice. Like it was like you wake up, it's like, oh, I got like 4 or 5 hours until the national championship. But this team, they played bad for about 7 minutes, maybe 10, and then they had the same game plan as UConn. Let Caitlyn Clark do her thing. Yep. We're not gonna be able to stop her. We just have to stop everyone else on the team. And they played a great, like all year, played great team basketball. The bench for Iowa was just non-existent. The bench scored 0 points compared to.
Yeah, I was gonna say the craziest stat of the game was that they outscored their bench like, I just had it up.
I think it was like
39-0.
Yeah, it was like 36.
Which is ridiculous.
Also, wait, before we finish that one, it was crazy that UConn ended up having more rebounds against Zach Edey than Purdue did. That's what was. They had
that was something we didn't even talk about, the rebounding in the second half.
Yeah,
so bad at the start.
The offensive rebounding for UConn, it's felt like every bad shot they had, they just ended up getting the ball.
Just
back.
Grab the freaking ball, Edey. I was getting really pissed at him. But, I mean, like some of them were just bad bounces, but there's no tenacity.
He was gassed.
UConn's the best offensive rebounding. Yeah, he was, but they're the best offensive rebounding team I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was like anyone on the team could get an offensive rebound at any point. All right, back to the women. They had him in the first quarter. They had him on the ropes. South Carolina goes on a run. They take the lead in the half, and they really never looked back. In the start of the third quarter, they dominated the third quarter, and then they were gassed by the fourth within like, I don't know. This was like over within like 6 minutes. It was still a little close. There was still time for if we missed.
Got
some
within
free throws.
5.
Yeah, they got within 5 late. It was pretty worrisome. I had the spread of 6.5, but they covered. They let the bench points was insane. The fact that anyone on this team could play 30 minutes, they could play 20 minutes. They just had women on the floor ready to go. And Dawn Staley took care of business. They let Caitlyn Clark do it, and then she got tired. I think she had 19 in the first quarter alone.
Yeah.
So
Finished with 30.
Yeah, and finished with 30. So that was like almost the perfect game plan for them. Let her score quickly early, get her gassed, and then stop the other ladies. I was getting nervous. I knew if it was close that the refs were going to get involved. Every goddamn commercial was about Caitlyn Clark during the national championship. It was on ESPN. Every time they talked about anything, it was the first thing that had to be mentioned was Caitlyn Clark. I understand it. I understand what she did for the sport of women's basketball. But she's leaving college ringless. So
send her packing.
Yeah, no, we were at 2 different bars. First half bar and then a second half bar in Charlotte just to check out the area. And the second, both times Charlotte was very friendly to the Gamecocks. You know, neighboring states they should be. And everyone was on our side. It was great. There was some 2011 grad that came in. He was like, "What's up, guys?" Like, "Yeah, this is sweet. Like, we're about to win another one." Yeah. And then, yeah, I mean, we had 3-point shooters that when we needed them most in Pow Pow. Great 3-point shooting name, by the way. Girl named Pow Pow that could take 3-pointers.
Pow Pow.
It's a great name. Tessa Johnson off the bench, freshman, was dominant. Led the team in scoring, and it very quietly. Didn't even realize that, honestly,
Freshman.
now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, freshman. And this team's just loaded. They're loaded for another run. The next day, that day in Columbia, right after the game, a bunch of the students ran over to the fountain over by the library, started jumping in, making a bunch of chaos. It seemed like a lot of fun. I did it 2 years ago when we won, so I wasn't mad that I was missing it. But it did look like a lot of fun. It looked like everyone was having a blast. And then
that's 2 titles in 4 years for you.
Yes,
I guess 3 years, right?
Yeah, 2 titles,
4
3
years.
years.
Of the school.
Yeah, and the first year they took it away. I don't even remember if we were in college during it was the COVID year.
Yeah.
We were in when they
Yeah,
took
they
it
won
away.
the tournament.
Okay. They took away one of them, and we would have won that 2020 year, wherever they took away.
Oh, okay, yeah. Everyone would have won that year.
So
Maryland had a great team.
Dawn Staley adds this to her resume. She still has a long way to go to become the GOAT of even women's college basketball because of Gino. They had, I think, like 4 undefeated seasons in a row, so she definitely has a long way to go. But I think Dawn could. I tweeted out. I think Dawn could coach the Wizards to 50 wins. I'm not serious. She just knows how to speak. The next day, they had a welcome home to the national champions at Colonial Life. They get there, so they open the gates at 12:30 to go in, and they were like, it's not going to start any earlier than 2. So I was like, all right, this should start at like 2:10, 2:15. I got there like 12:45. Got pretty good seats. 2 rows from the front, so that was pretty good. I was pretty excited that they had 4 open seats there by the time I got there. And it's like 2:40, and the team hasn't come out yet. I was just like, oh my god! But they finally come out. They speak. The Ray Tanner, our athletic director, speaks, introduces Dawn. Dawn has a great speech. Gets everyone fired up. Literally, she just knows how to talk to a crowd of people, to a crowd of students. She said that the team had a mentality in the hotel before that she was worried, like, we're either going to blow these people out or they're going to blow us out. And then she says for the first 3 minutes, they blew us out. But then the last 47 minutes, she pauses, the whole stadium goes wild. Really great speaker. It was awesome listening to her. And then our player Raven Johnson, who, if you remember last year in the Final Four, she was waved off by Caitlyn Clark for a 3-pointer and ended up missing the 3-pointer, but was completely disrespected by Caitlyn Clark. So she took this personally. She didn't have the best game, but she guarded Caitlyn Clark very well. She comes up on the mic. She says, "The revenge tour is over. Now it is time for the repeat tour," and then drops the mic.
Love it.
And then they walk around the stadium with the national championship trophy. I was close enough. I hopped a row to touch the trophy. High-fived everyone on the team.
Nice.
That was great. Also, Dawn mentioned, she's like, the only team that was able to beat us this year was our highlights, and the highlights is the practice squad and it's a bunch of men, and they just wear like these neon color shirts when they play. That's what they call them, the highlights. They're like, shout out to them, pushed us all year, only team that's able to beat us.
Yeah.
So that was great. And it's funny, like I was expecting like, guys that would look like they just couldn't play, like they just couldn't play D1 basketball. They were just like, they were just dudes. They were just like, I felt like I could have been up there. and they had open tryouts at the beginning of the year. I remember thinking about it, but it would have just been so much work, so much on my plate.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I would have made it, but it would have been really fun to
I think like good basketball players make it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they're good. I'm sure they're good basketball players. I just expected them to be like, like 6'3", 6'4", maybe
like looking like they were good basketball players.
Yeah, exactly. They just kind of looked like the average student, which was pretty funny.
That is funny. That would be an awesome job though. And then you could say that you basically won a national championship because you beat them.
Yeah, and they all had the shirts. They all get rings. They all had the hats on. So
I think they ever talk smack. They're like, "Well, we beat you guys, so it's a fraudulent title."
No, I doubt it. Don would be like, "All right, pack your bags, pal. You're out of here." Weird thing. I don't know. I couldn't tell because they're all wearing hats and for some reason sunglasses. I guess just to prove to block out the haters.
Or they were just really hungover.
Or that. But a lot of them, while Don was speaking, were like on their phones, like talking to each other, taking selfies. I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I'm sure Don didn't mind, but I would have been a little peeved if I was the coach speaking up there. I'd be like,
it's a boomer take.
Yeah, it is. I guess it is a boomer take.
But no, I agree.
A couple of them, the ones that were.
Well, everything's got to be recorded now.
Yeah, and they're just getting their point of view and like sending like the Snapchat stories or whatever. But the ones, it was funny. The ones that were like Camila Gartosa, Malaysia Fuwali, they were locked in the whole time. They were not on their phones, they were locked in. Love to see it. But no, it was a great experience. It's a great time. Glad I got to touch the trophy, and just an utter dominant performance by the women's team here.
Yeah.
Did you end up watching this? Be honest.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole game, but I turned it on.
Nice.
Are you taking Danny Hurley or Dawn Staley? Obviously, your answer's biased.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta take Dawn. She doesn't. I don't know if she has. I feel like to the public presence, she doesn't have the fire that Dan Hurley does, but in the locker room, she has that fire. You could tell when they come out in the second half that they got yelled at, and they got because they button up everything. They play the best basketball right afterwards. I don't think anyone can adapt on the basketball court like Dawn can, and she has the resources. She has all these players that are able to come off the bench and play for her. Like we just have all Americans and all McDonald's players just sitting on the bench waiting to play. So I mean, it's a pretty nice luxury that she has, but she's the one that recruited them. She's the one that got them here, and she's the one that has them all bought in.
The job.
Yeah, and last year's team that made it to the Final Four, every single starter got drafted. So this was a completely new team.
Wild. That being said, how do you look for next year?
I think we're looking good
Is
next
anyone
year.
getting drafted again?
Yeah, we're gonna lose Camila Cardoso. She's gonna go to the draft. Tiana Pau was a senior. She's gonna go to the draft. I don't know if Rhea Hall is a senior.
What's the rule in women's? Is it the same as men's, or is it more like football?
I think they play it. They definitely play it more like football. Like a lot of the
Gotcha.
even Caitlyn Clark was a senior.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find out. Yeah, class of 2021, so she'd be a junior right now. Like normally the women play it as like football, where they play 4 years at a program, or maybe they transfer their senior year. Like Tiana Pau played, I think, 3 years at Oregon, and then ended up transferring to us.
Gotcha.
But we have Ashlyn Watkins, who is she's a sophomore, so she's coming back. We have Raven Johnson, who's a sophomore. She's coming back. I think Chloe Kitts is coming back. Man, she's a 2-time gold medalist. God damn.
Basketball,
I guess
junior
women's.
team?
I guess she was on the women's gold medal team. Tessa Johnson's a freshman. Malaysia Fuwili, is a freshman. So they're looking good for next year. There's definitely a chance that they could go. I mean, there's definitely a chance they can make a national title run. Going undefeated again might be a little harder. But
it's the standard though.
It is it's the standard. LSU got worse. They're going to be way worse next year. I don't know how the rest of the SEC looks. UConn will be back. They will have all their team together and be healthier than they were this year. But I mean, like no team was able to hold a candle to them all season, besides this Iowa team, and now Caitlyn Clark will be in the draft. So it's really slim pickings. I guess maybe you got to look out for Indiana. They were the team that kept it the closest in this tournament with the 4-point loss to South Carolina. But
that's right.
I mean, when looking at the squads that they have to face and the players that they have coming in, I already know they have a number 1 recruit coming in. So they're poised. They're poised for it. And then we might see a dominant run like UConn here. I'm not going to make a prediction saying that we're going to go undefeated for the next 4 years, but you never know. And they've been able to do it before. And now you just got to try again.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought up UConn because I've had this pulled up for a few minutes. UConn has won 10 national championships since 2000. So almost half.
Yeah.
They went 2009 2010, they were 39-0 both years. That's pretty good. 2002 to 2003, they were 39-0 and then 37-1. Let's see. 2013 to 2016 was when they won 4 in a row, and they were 35-4. Terrible year.
Yeah, honestly.
And they went 40-0, 38-1, and 38-0. And that was their last title. That's when Carolina won their first with Dawn.
Man. And then they made it to the title game.
Unbelievable.
They made it to the title game 2 years ago when we beat them.
Against South Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, they made it to the Final Four this year. I think they made it to the Final Four last year. Did they play Iowa last? No, LSU played Iowa last year.
LSU, yeah.
So it'll be, I guess, on the women's side, it'll be interesting to see where the chick from Iowa goes, Haley Van Lith. It'll be interesting to see where she goes. She's a good player. Didn't have as good of a year on LSU that she did in Louisville the years before. But she's in the transfer portal. I think she could have gone to the draft, but ended up transferring. And I doubt she comes here. That would look terrible for her, considering she just joined the last national championship team. So hopping from national championship team to national championship, it would be a pretty bad look for her PR. So maybe she heads to UConn. Maybe she heads to what team did I just mention that keep it close? Indiana. Who knows? I know USC will be good next year. They have the other Watkins, Juju Watkins. She's a freshman. She's a killer. So maybe she goes there. I don't know where, but that's I guess the final straw to see which teams will be dominant next year. Yeah,
All right.
that's that's all I got. Columbia was on fire. It was great. If we ever win a football national championship, I'm praying for the city. Like there's I don't know what's gonna happen to the city. The infrastructure just might absolutely get torn apart. Yeah, I mean, there was people. It was a Sunday at 3. People ran to the fountain afterwards and then ran back to the bars. Just were like my roommates were out until like midnight on a Sunday at the bars. I was like, all right. Wasn't for me. Luckily, I was driving back from Charlotte, but it seemed like a great time. It seemed like everyone had fun, and nobody got hurt. That's really what matters in championship celebrations.
That's good.
Nobody
yes.
got hurt. They have a parade. They have a parade I think on the 12th. So on Thursday they'll have a parade.
So the parade wasn't what you did with the stadium?
No, they didn't have the parade yet. They have to like block off a bunch of streets for that. So I guess they didn't want to do that on a Monday. But
Fair.
Yeah.
It's just like a rally.
Yeah, it was just like a rally, just like a welcome home little celebration, I guess. It was funny while we were waiting for them to come in, they like replayed the national championship on the big screen.
Oh, really?
So that was cool, getting to watch it again. It was dominant. I'm excited to see Cardosa in the WNBA. The Caitlyn Clark WNBA stuff is already happening. You can get tickets to go see the Phoenix Mercury playing the Indiana Fever, who have the first overall pick, and they're already advertising their matchup against Caitlyn Clark because they know she's going to go there. I don't know. I'm glad she's not an enemy to South Carolina anymore. I'm glad I could root her to win some titles with a South Carolina player and Aaliyah Boston. She'll finally have some teammates that are like above 6 foot. So that's good for her. And yeah, I mean, she does make everyone better. She deserved all the praise that she got. Just annoying to see her on every commercial when she's in the national title. I think like if she's in the game, they should just not be allowed to play the commercials. You know, it's like when the Browns were playing.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like when the Browns were playing and like Baker Mayfield was on every. But it's like the Browns.
Yeah, but that was funny because they were bad.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't as annoying. I guess it would be like the Patrick Mahomes commercials nowadays.
Yes, that's what it's like. Same brand too.
Yeah, I was gonna say same companies most of the time too. It got to the point where I was like, oh, Nike, they're a Nike school, we're an Under Armour school, ESPN. It was all connected. It was all big Mickey Mouse.
Does ESPN have a thing with Nike?
I don't know. I feel like all the Nike schools. I think just Nike is just part of that like big conglomerate Mickey Mouse conspiracy tinfoil hat. Yeah. It's all a big tinfoil hat.
That's true. Yeah, they're all together. It's Under Armour versus everyone.
Yeah, really. I saw today. It was like our contract's running up. Would you want to? Because Auburn just joined Nike. And I was like, I don't need that Disney money. I want the keep it with the home.
Stay with Under Armour.
Yeah, Baltimore ground, blue blood, blue collar.
Yep, that's right. Boots on the ground.
I will give her props. She ended with 30 points, ended the season with 31, 7, and 9 assists, shooting off 45% field goal percentage. She is a chucker, though. I'll give her that. It's only because her team is bad. Her team's bad. Like she won't. I don't know if she'll be a chucker in the WNBA.
No, and she's an excellent passer.
Yes, she is an excellent passer. But she had to chuck. She was forced to do it. And that's kind of how it went. All right.
She is the guaranteed number 1 pick, right?
Yeah. I don't even know if because the people that they were getting compared to when it came down to the Final Four, Paige Buckets is not going to the league. Juju Watkins is a freshman. Cardosa Cardoso's great, but I think she's projected like 5th overall. Can't believe I'm looking up an WNBA mock draft right now. But hey, that's where we're going with women's sports. Let's not be mad. Yeah, Cameron Brink is right up there. She's definitely not better than Caitlyn Clark was. And then now Cardoso's moved up to 3. Nice.
And Cardoso's 6'7".
Yeah, it's funny. Like besides the girl on UConn and Angel Reese, I don't even know any of these other girls. So it's definitely gonna be Caitlyn Clark taking in that number 1 spot.
Yeah. Oh, good for her.
Yeah, good for her. And I really do hope that it gets the effect that everyone is predicting with the WNBA. Get some rivalry with Angel Reese going to the league too. Even if Cardoso wants, she's more quiet, doesn't start as much beef as Angel Reese does. But there's better talent coming in, and that's always gonna raise the league up. Most watched women's sport since apparently women's college games since 1992. I don't know who was hooping in 1992 that got 18.7 million viewers for the national title.
Also, they outdid the men.
They outdid the men by 4 million.
Was surprising.
Yeah. And then they were it was the most bet on women's sporting event ever.
Well,
so
that's not.
Dub for the gamblers. No, that's not. That's definitely not as surprising. But dub for the gamblers too. Degenerates support women just as much.
No, not the books. It's a dub for, not the gamblers.
That's true. I had over and money line.
Cleaned up on Iowa.
I had money line parlayed with the over, and the over hit within like 5 minutes left. Not even, maybe 4 minutes left. So I was like, nice. And I got it. I was in North Carolina now, gambling friendly. So while we were driving into Charlotte, I was able to place it and got a FanDuel 25% boost on it.
Oh, I should have texted you to sign up for some of my books in North Carolina.
It was there. A woman. We're in the bar, and a woman comes up to us coming from DraftKings, and she's like, "Oh, gambling is legal here." I'm like, "Oh yeah, we know." And she's like, if you want to tell one of your friends to sign up using your code, you'll get all these free plays. And we were like, sorry, ma'am, we did that a while ago. We're veterans here. It might have been our first time gambling in North Carolina, but this isn't our first time gambling. We're here. She was like, oh, like it's all these, like you could do all these other apps too, and like she was even like trying to just like get in, not even just, she was working for DraftKings, but not even for DraftKings. And be like, look, ma'am, we've done them all. But no, it was a great atmosphere. It was great to watch the games there. It was a great game to watch. So shout out South Carolina, shout out Dawn Staley. Long way to go, but right on trajectory, right on the path. She's a good coach when all the Kentucky fans want her to be their head coach now that John Calipari has gone to Arkansas.
We should talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I forgot about that. So I didn't even know that Musselman left for USC until I found out that Calipari went to Arkansas. Because I got really confused. I was like, did they force Musselman out? I thought they liked him down there. So he took USC coach left.
Yep.
He took the SMU job, which is
downgrade.
Weird.
Yeah, downgrade.
Seems like a downgrade. Maryland wanted, or thought Maryland might have wanted that guy. So then Musselman goes to USC again. Like they have less resources there than Arkansas does in terms of like a rabid fan base that boosters. But I don't know. And then Calipari goes to Arkansas, which I like. Do you think that was? I think they kind of nudged him out, or do you think that was entirely his call?
No, I think they nudged him out.
Yeah.
I think the fan base completely turned on him after that loss. The fan base was ready to pack his bags for him. So they deserve whatever down years they're gonna have if they have any.
Yeah.
And Arkansas is a great place to play. Really hard to play at Arkansas. Great home atmosphere. So it's going to be, Calipari's going to bring in some guys. He'll probably get some more NBA guys here in Arkansas.
They already were kind of like Kentucky, just like a lesser version of it, where they had good players every year, at least for the last couple years with Muss, and they didn't win anything. So
yeah, they had a couple great players. They missed the tournament.
I know what Arkansas was expecting. Yeah, they were bad this year.
Yeah, they had a weird off year.
Every year they've underperformed, but they had the one last year in the tournament. They beat, was it Houston? And Musselman took his shirt off. Remember that?
Yes, I do remember.
That was last year, right?
Yeah, that was last year. This is TikTok. All right.
No, I don't know. I'm not saying it.
No.
I'm not saying it's like a.
Go ahead, finish.
Not an upgrade at all, but I don't know how much better you get. I mean, Cal's won a national championship, so you can do it again. I just don't know how adaptable he is. But we'll see. Maybe he just needed to change the scenery, and maybe the program did too. So I am
apparently there was some sort of. Did you hear about this during the season? Because I remember hearing about this halfway through the season. There was a gay love triangle between basketball players on Arkansas. like two of the players were apparently in a relationship, and then another player happened to be gay on the team, and like one of the players cheated on him with the other. So like people were, I swear to God, this is like look it up right now. It's I'm only seeing like stupid YouTube videos and TikToks about it, but that was the rumor.
Arkansas gay basketball comes up.
Yeah, it's
there it is. Gay love triangle. Oh, that's pretty wild. What does that have to do with?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe it was like a weird locker room, and that's why they were bad. Maybe that's why Musk wanted to get out of there. I don't know, but I'm not it was just something I heard that was really weird. But I don't even know if it's true. But it was just something to weirdly think about halfway when you see Arkansas struggling with all these good players on their team. Just some weird to think about.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Arkansas, this like SEC rant. Arkansas imploded because players of a love affair among three players gone bad.
No. I haven't seen a reliable source yet.
No, there hasn't been one reliable source.
So.
That I'm doing this.
Well, there's one on Yahoo, but it's about the chatter on social media. There's no source.
I don't know. All these things coming up definitely is not a. I mean, I don't. Who cares if basketball players are gay? But having a love triangle is something that you.
Not as bad as the LSU love triangle with the guy, the recruiter, or the coach, and the
Keyshawn Booty. Patriots wide receiver Keyshawn Booty.
Yes.
Plowing the boosters in the back. That was
with his coach. Yeah.
That's definitely worse.
I'll give you that. That was wild.
But distractions in the locker room. I guess that was my point here.
Yeah, fair enough. That is a distraction.
Yeah.
For sure.
But Calipari, we went over when Kentucky lost. Anyway. Yeah, we're just moving on. I'm just brushing past that. After I couldn't find a reliable, I was like, all right, this is definitely just something. But after Calipari, he ended his time in Kentucky 410 and 122. So can't say he wasn't a good coach. They made 4 Final Four appearances, and they won the national title in 2012. He had a recruiting class like top 5 almost every year. I expect him to bring that to Arkansas. I think Arkansas has good resources, has a good facility, has a good home court to be able to bring in these recruits. And I think Calipari will be just fine. I think I don't know if this changes how they do in tournament play. against a random team like, what was it, Oakland? Yeah.
Oakland.
So, the tournament's crazy. The tournament's crazy. You got to see some adjustments in the tournament from Calipari if you're an Arkansas fan and you want some hope. But they'll be just fine in the regular season. But I'm kind of more interested to see who Kentucky hires, what happens to these Kentucky kids that aren't going to the draft. One's already entered the transfer portal, their center. Maybe he follows them to Arkansas. Maybe he goes and joins up with Lamont Paris and the dominant Gamecocks. But who knows? It'll definitely be interesting. It's portal combat season. John Rothstein is still not sleeping. He's not sleeping till May. So it'll be fun the next couple weeks to see where these guys go. John Calipari apparently made some Twitter video. I didn't listen to the Twitter video. I just thought it was funny. The first Twitter video that he posted was in like 380p. So it was like super like, it's just not in any sort of high definition. He then deleted it and then like an hour later posted the high definition one, which I thought was really
You think
funny.
for a guy who like, how do I phrase this? Who like recruits so well and turns guys into good NBA players that he would relate to young people, and you think that he would be like somewhat competent technologically. But I don't know.
I'd say, yeah.
He also
I guess,
seems like he could be old man yells at cloud.
yeah, he is 65 years old.
He
I gotta
looks
say-
65.
I was gonna say he's a young 65 out there.
Yeah.
He definitely doesn't look as.
I mean, money can pay. Money can prevent aging.
Who was I saw Big Cat was bringing up. Is it John Calhoun, the basketball coach that he wants to bring back to Kentucky? No, he was the
Boeheim.
Yeah, Boeheim.
Boeheim.
He posted.
Syracuse.
Yeah, they posted the
Like
video.
1,000 years old.
And it was narrated by a quote from I'm totally blanking on his name right now. Matthew McConaughey. You got to go back. Sometimes you got to go backwards to move forwards. It was a great of 90s Kentucky basketball and him on the sidelines. So that was pretty great.
Wait, did he coach at Kentucky? No, he was at Syracuse since 19. Oh, Pitino, not Boeheim.
Oh yeah, we're done. Yeah, we're done here.
Yeah.
Rick Pitino.
Well, I listened to the podcast and they did bring up Jim Boeheim's name, but yes, Pitino's, yeah. That would be awesome.
That would be great.
Although I kind of want to see him win at St. John's. It would be electric.
He's a turd, though.
Back to Kentucky. Oh, he's a horrible guy.
Yeah, he's a turd. It would be funny to see him go back. It's like 100 years old.
Yeah.
Going in there.
It would be like, think about this with Calipari. 65 is old to take a new job.
I know.
Kind of surprising.
Yeah, and well, while we're talking about 2 years ago, he was
Kind
only
of like
he
an
was
8-year
69.
deal. He's 73.
I think it was 5 years. So he'll be.
Oh, I thought it was.
I saw 5 years on this. 5 years, north of $8 million.
Okay, so that's where I got confused.
Yeah, and I mean, so it'll take him to his 70s. I don't know. It's like you think about last year, Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll were both 70. His coaches can go for a while, I guess. And when you have
they look a lot different.
Yeah, no, they definitely, yeah.
It's like Calipari and Rick Pitino. Like Pitino looks like Belichick. He looks old, and Calipari looks like Pete Carroll. He looks like he coached for 20 more years.
It's pretty funny.
Pitino looks so old.
I like how also Kentucky fans are completely ludicrous. I saw them on Twitter like, oh, Dan Hurley's going to get the call. He's going to get the bag.
Yep.
It's like, dude's cutting the net right now, bro. He's not going anywhere.
He already shut it down, too.
Yeah, he shut it down in the press conference. He said
He's
his
like,
wife.
no, I think I'd just rather win again here.
And he said his wife wouldn't be very happy. And if they wanted to make a press conference with his wife, she could explain it better.
I mean, do they not realize that, like, they're not UConn? Like, UConn is the best now.
Yeah, and I also, like, Calipari for the past 15 years was their program. So
they have won like 7 titles without him.
yeah. With Patino and some other guys that I've never even probably ever heard.
Some old farts.
Yeah, and Dolph Rupp, the Rupp Center.
Adolf, yeah.
Adolf,
He won 4.
He was born in 1930. Come on, or he coached from 1930. Never mind. So he was born way before Adolf was a bad name. Anyways, this podcast could go anywhere.
I didn't even realize my brain must be shot because I literally didn't even put 2 and 2 together there. It's literally just spelled with a PH instead of an F.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's tough.
Man, he coached for 40 years at Kentucky. 42 years.
Years.
That's insanity.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Also, this is a great. If you look, I just looked up John Calipari, and there's a stats tab on Google. It says Calipari has 813 career NCAA approved wins. Does he have any non-NCAA approved wins?
I know Patino does.
Yeah, Patino does.
I don't know. I can't think if they've been in trouble. I feel like for like the best college basketball coaches, you have to put that in there because so many of them have lost wins.
I got to finish his quote stats here. This is insane. Rupp led the program from 1930 to 1972.
This is Adolf that we're talking about.
Yeah, this is Adolf that we're talking about. He's the longest tenured Kentucky coach since Adolf in 15. So he had 15 years there, and he was 63 wins away from Rump's total in like a fourth of the years.
They probably just played a lot less games.
Yeah, they probably, and yeah, it's a completely different sport back then. So who even knows how many games?
There was also a scandal in 1951 where there were players arrested for taking bribes from gamblers. So
maybe there's not. Maybe it's less NCAA approved wins then.
Yeah.
I gotta figure out what NCAA approved wins. That's great. Well, that kind of does it. Oh, last big piece of college basketball news that we need to hit before we go. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has entered the transfer portal from Indiana State. I don't even know his actual name, but he's transferring. And he transferred and then immediately said, like, no recruiting, don't call me. So he's got some program lined up. Some guy must have called him while they were in the NIT, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, weird how that works.
Kevin Willard.
Maybe. Robbie Avila, by the way. Robbie Avila. Nickname Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
I'm back in on Maryland hoops.
Yeah. So you guys got a transfer, right? During the tournament?
They got 2. So the one that they got, Rodney Rice, he was at Virginia Tech and he left the program last year, like a couple weeks into the season. I'm not sure why. But then he entered the portal and he was already basically committed here for at least like a month or 2 and just made it official. And then the other guy, Jacoby Gillespie, they got 2 weeks ago. He is Jameer Young's replacement. Belmont can actually shoot threes. And they have Derek Queen coming in from high school. He's a 5-star.
And
lost a couple guys in the portal, but none of the studs. Well, they didn't really have studs.
They lost Kaiser. My God.
Kaiser transferred, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what's happening there. I mean, he shot 20% from the floor, so I thought he would get a lot better next year, but whatever. I don't know whether to blame him or Willard or what, so I'm just gonna hold any takes I have. But they kept Harris Smith. I think he's gonna get a lot better. And they kept Juju. So they'll get the guy who they recruited this year to shoot threes. They'll get him back. So hopefully they can hit 3-pointers next year. But The reason I'm back is because I read an article today that was kind of like aggregating the way too early top 25s for next year, and they ranked in like 3 of them.
Nice.
So pretty stoked.
Yeah. So Roddy Rice, Jacoby
back in.
Golitsky,
Yeah.
2 4-star guys coming in. He lost Kaiser,
Swanton Roger. He dunked on Hunter Dickinson once. Bachelor was awful. He was a guy they recruited to shoot threes and couldn't hit threes.
And then Lamont. Lamont.
He just didn't play much. But he was a freshman, so I don't I just don't know. I could do a whole transfer portal rant. I'm not going to. I'm just gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, and I don't know what's going on in the program. So.
And maybe Bronny doesn't get drafted. That was great when he answered the transfer portal originally before we declared for the draft, and the pick of we talked about on the pod when he was in College Park for like some tournament.
Yeah, sure.
We're like, oh, he's coming to Maryland. He's coming to Maryland.
That's funny.
South Carolina has no.
Bronny's trash.
Yeah, but you want Bron coming to the games. That's why I want Bronny.
Oh yeah, of course.
South Carolina doesn't have any commits yet. No transfer portal guys. Colin Murray-Boyle signed it with the Garnett Trust Group, our NIL deal, so he's not going to transfer. That's a good thing for South Carolina. I think they have a couple guys from like Furman and a couple other South Carolina schools that seem to be coming our way. They're losing a lot of guys because the seniors, but they're going to be keeping a lot of their guys. I think they're losing BJ Mack. They're losing Caitlyn Cooper, Stephen Clark. I think that might be it, honestly. But big guy. Oh, well, they lost Michi Johnson. Michi Johnson transferred to Ohio State. Went back home. Good for you, Michi Johnson.
He went back to Ohio State.
Yeah, he went back to Ohio State. I don't know what he thinks he's gonna do there, or what he didn't accomplish here, but maybe more money. So, but they're gonna reload. I trust Lamont. He's gonna recruit some guys. Excited to see some transfer portal guys fall in.
Wait, so you didn't lose? The only big loss you had was Michi?
Nah, Michi, Caitlyn Cooper, BJ Mack were the top 3 guys.
Graduated there, right?
Yeah, those 2 graduated. Yeah, okay. Michi got transferred.
Yeah, I was just thinking transfer portal.
Yeah. No, it was just Michi that transferred out.
That's good. You want that retention rate.
Yeah.
And you've got the finish guys, right? The finishers.
Yeah, the finishers are coming. I know there's another one that's from and Adiba transferred out, but he was injury riddled. Needs to go to a smaller school where he can be the man. I respect that move. Sadly, only played like 4 games for us, but no incoming transfers yet. But excited to see what happens. I think the guy from Pitt's going to come to us. He's Morris Ugsuck's brother. So yeah. Oh, and Miles Studi. I think he's going to graduate too. So another guy. Retention rate got to stay. They built a culture here. They made it to the tournament. They were close for a little bit in the tournament game. So yeah, I'm excited to see where they go. Should be a fun year again. You never know. Maybe our teams will be playing in the national title next year.
Maybe they will. I'm ready to believe that.
Yep. It's the beauty of March. It's the beauty of March.
Well, and it's the beauty of the next 6 months. And we'll have to watch our teams play.
Yes. Yeah. One thing. As
soon as the season ended, I was all the way back in.
The one thing
to watch them play.
The one thing we always mention with college sports, with these recruiting periods and transfer periods, it's the best hope. It's anyone you can convince yourself was slept on in their last school, didn't get the right opportunity. He's gonna be a star here, and then any guy you get from the from just high school recruiting, you can just be like, oh, well, he's projected a 4-star. He's definitely plays it. It's so great. It's the best. I guess one domino that could fall Eli Ellis. You ever heard of this kid?
Eli Ellis?
Yeah.
I don't think that I have.
He is one of the overtime elite players that plays for that program, and he is like the leading scorer, I think, in the history of the OTE. He looks really young. He's an absolute bucket. Like, he dropped 50 so many times. He was the MVP of the league. He might reclassify and try to join us this year. He's committed to us next year. So there's an opportunity that he reclassifies and comes and joins us. He still looks he has a baby face. If you look him up right now, he does not look like he's ready for D1 basketball. But I think it's
Eli Ellis.
Yeah, 1 L in Eli, 2 in Ellis. I think he's.
Oh my gosh.
He is 18 years old. All right, so I thought he was going to be. I thought he looks like he's like
13.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, looking at the pictures, he does not look ready for D1 basketball. But for the way he plays, he definitely plays like he's ready for D1 basketball. So that would be cool. That would be a lot of fun.
Wait, so what is overtime elite?
Overtime elite.
This is a safe space to ask that question because I feel like I should have known a while ago.
Overtime elite is it's a path that college players can take, or high school players can take, and they I think they have schooling there. I think they have state of the art world class facilities for basketball, for training. I guess it's just like a mini pro league. If these guys don't want to go to college, so just another option, like going overseas.
They can go to college.
They can, yes.
From overtime elite.
Yes, they can go to college from overtime elite. But
so what's like the age limit on it?
So the Thompson twins were the first guys drafted out of
right.
Yeah, out of overtime elite. They were the best players in that program. They ended up being they're 21. They're both 21 going into the league. So I guess 20 last year. I don't know what the age limit is. I'm guessing can't be over 21, right? Can't be over 20.
Oh.
I'm gonna look it up. But the knock on them is that they didn't know what the NBA scouts didn't know what level of competition he was playing.
Right.
And that might be, I don't know if it's the same thing. It says, ages 16 to 20.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense how they can still go to college, or not go to college at all and still go to the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, because players must be 1 year out of high school to enter the NBA draft and at least 19. So, OTE enrolls both high school and post high school players for those, I guess, 2 years.
Right. I got to do some more research into this league because it actually sounds pretty cool.
Does sound cool.
I want guys to play in college because I like college basketball more.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any prospects. I don't think there's any prospects this year for the NBA. But in this league, whatever it means, Eli Ellis dropped 23 a game, and led the league in scoring.
Jeez.
So not bad. Best player in the league for any kid, no matter what the competition is.
Yeah.
At least he's the best.
Maryland was looking at a kid that was there too, Tyler Jackson. He's from Baltimore. He's like a high 4-star recruit.
Let me look him up. I never heard of this kid. Oh yeah, OTE point guard.
I haven't been on the Insider in a while.
Ooh, you're warm with you're warm with
Rutgers.
Auburn.
Auburn.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said Rutgers. I've been thinking about Rutgers a lot.
I'm gonna look up now. Is Eli Ellis's? Well, I guess he's already committed, so I don't think there would be any warm.
So he would reclass to this year or to next year?
He would reclass for this year. He's a class of 2025, so he'd be coming in. He would be coming in next year, no matter what.
It's confusing. But
Yeah, it is confusing.
I think I got it.
Yeah, he is 18. I guess he can come to the school. I mean, Gigi Jackson played at 17, so like, if he could reclassify and play, this kid could definitely reclassify and play.
That's fair. Yeah. Do you? Yeah.
What do I want him to play?
I was just gonna open up a whole other topic of conversation about reclassing, which we don't know enough about to discuss.
I don't know how it works. I
Pros and cons.
Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it. I think the cons are more on the players that don't finish high school, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, or the team that brings in a player who's not ready, and then like they lose out on a recruit basically because then they transfer.
That's true. Or a player that's not ready to, and it is not a head case, but a powder. GG.
Yeah. But I guess you also, like, if there's the opportunity to reclass and they don't, then you can lose them. Like, the commitment's not binding.
Yeah.
So he's got a whole year to hear from other coaches. But yeah, whatever. It's not an urgent need.
No, we'll cross that bridge if it comes to it. But it'd be sweet to see Eli Ellis in person if he can keep up the scoring as much as he did in the OTE. We hit over an hour. Man, it's an hour 20. I didn't think we were gonna hit it. That was we
didn't need to.
No, we were done the women's.
We started talking about recruiting. It's like
once that happened, I was like, well, we were done women's at like 40 minutes. I was like,
I know
it's gonna be a short one.
I knew I was sitting on the Maryland thing the whole time. I was just
ready
waiting
for it. No, because
I literally saw that article on the train ride back, and I was like, heck yeah, let's go.
It was
2015 best in the country.
I was jealous that you guys got a recruit before us. guys are doing well. Well, thank you all for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed. Got something out of the last 40 minutes of this podcast.
Yeah.
And we'll see.
The first 20 minutes was like really good basketball analysis too, I think.
Oh yeah. We had a good 40 of
Pick that game apart.
Oh yeah. Thank you all for listening. We're gonna do mock draft 2.0 Thursday. Look for it around 4:20, 4:30 o'clock. We'll see everyone there. Thank you all for listening.